Have you ever wondered what lies beneath the surface of his silence? Beneath the calm facade he shows the world, is there an invisible storm raging over his heart? Do you sense that despite everything, he still suffers, quietly, secretly, in a way he will never admit? Imagine for a moment, a man who seems strong and composed, whose smile masks a deeper pain. His world is full of unspoken grief, layered beneath the mask of indifference or casual masculinity. He's struggling, not with a loud cry or dramatic outburst, but in silence, in the shadows where no one can see. And what if I told you that this silent suffering isn't just his way of coping? It's his most profound language. That beneath the words he chooses not to say, there are signs, clues, signals. A hidden language of pain that many overlook. In fact, there is a silent war waging within him, one that most women never notice. It's a conflict between what he feels deep inside and what he's willing or able to show. A battle fueled by pride, shame, and the unspoken fear of appearing vulnerable. This war isn't visible, but its effects are undeniable, etched into his every action, every gesture. Think about this. How many times have you sensed that something in him was hurting? An ache that he refused to express? How many moments did you feel his distance, his avoidance, his quiet withdrawal? Yet he never said a word. What if I told you that according to Carl Jung and psychological insights into masculine pain, many men, especially those who truly love or cared, suffer in silence because they don't know how to articulate their true feelings, that their silence is not a sign of indifference or moving on, but a reflection of something far more complex. A silent, internal battle that wears them down deep inside. This is what I want to explore with you today, because understanding the subtle signs of a man who is silently suffering, and doing so because of you, can unlock a new level of awareness, empathy, and perhaps even healing. In the next moments, you'll discover the 7 signs that he's still hurting because of you. Signs that he will never openly admit, because strength for him is found in silence, not in words. These signs aren't mind games or manipulation. They are the emotional code he communicates when words are too painful or too risky to give. And the most profound part? Once you learn to read these signs, you'll see beyond his silence and recognize the emotional storm that's been quietly raging. One that may still hold both of you back or, if understood, can lead to a deeper connection and healing. Because many women misinterpret his silence, thinking he no longer cares, that he's moved on, that everything between you is over, when in reality, he's only suffering in a language of darkness, hoping someone like you will learn to decode the signals before it's too late. This journey is inspired by Carl Jung, the master of understanding the unconscious mind, who believed that every shadow, every inner conflict, speaks through symbols, in signs far more profound than words. Today, I invite you to look beneath the surface, to see the silent pain, the unspoken hurt, and to understand that sometimes the loudest scream is made in silence. Are you ready to uncover the hidden signs of his suffering? To learn how to recognize what he's too proud or too scared to admit, because once you do, you'll realize that his silence is actually a cry for help. A plea for understanding that can transform your relationship or, at the very least, bring clarity to the confusion that has haunted you for too long. Have you wondered what lies beneath his quiet exterior? Beneath the calm mask he wears, is there an invisible struggle, a silent suffering that he might never openly share? Imagine the man who appears strong and composed, yet inside a quiet storm rages on, hidden from the world, from you, perhaps even from himself. His pain isn't loud, it's deep and coded. It's expressed in his silence, in his avoidance, in the subtle things he does but avoids saying. And what if I told you that understanding these signs could change everything? Today, I invite you to look beyond the surface, to see the unseen, to understand the unspoken. Because sometimes the loudest scream is made in silence, and once you learn to decode his quiet signals, you'll discover the true depth of his inner world, but only if you pay close enough attention. If this resonates with you so far, make sure to subscribe to this channel. hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who needs to see it. Because understanding silent suffering isn't just about him, it's about you, your relationship, and the powerful unseen connections waiting to be uncovered. Now let's begin the journey into the 7 signs that a man is silently suffering. Signs he'll never admit, because deep down he still loves, struggles, and hurts, all quietly, inside. Sign number 1. He talks about you with others, but not directly to you. The moment you realize that a man still feels something, even if he claims he's moved on, can be found in the way he mentions you when he thinks no one's paying attention. This is one of the clearest, yet most misunderstood signs of silent pain. When a man has truly closed a chapter, he stops referencing you altogether. You become part of his past, a closed story stored in memory, with no need to bring you up. But when he still suffers, when your absence inside him is unresolved, he finds indirect ways to keep you present, even if unconsciously. Maybe a mutual friend mentions you casually in conversation. Perhaps he posts something on social media that hints at old memories, a song, a quote, a story, that only someone who really knew him can understand. Or he coldly jokes about you, but with an undertone that reveals he's still holding onto that same unresolved pain. Why does he do it? Because reaching out directly, calling, texting, messaging, feels too vulnerable. It's as if his heart is whispering, say something, but his pride, shame, or fear of rejection keeps him silent. So instead, he navigates his pain in a shadowed way, like a shadow boxer throwing punches at the walls of his mind, indirectly keeping that emotional wound open. To him, mentioning you to others is lower risk. It's less exposed, less vulnerable, yet it keeps his emotional connection alive. It's like an unspoken confession. I still feel you, even if I pretend I don't. Understanding this can save you from misguided reactions. When you catch him talking about you without justifying, step back, don't rush to respond or jump into the game. Instead, realize that his indirect mentions are a sign he still cares, a sign his pain is alive and thriving behind that mask of indifference. Sign number 2, he avoids you in person but can't stop watching you. This is a paradoxical and deeply emotional sign. He keeps his distance outwardly, yet inwardly he can't take his eyes off you. It's a subtle dance of avoidance and obsession, driven by an internal need to protect himself from feeling too much. Think of it like the moon's gravity pulling at the tides. He stays at a distance, afraid of falling back into a whirlwind of emotions. When you're near, he avoids eye contact, looks away fast, maybe even acts like he doesn't notice you. But the moment you turn your back or walk away, everything changes. Every glance he steals is loaded with unspoken longing. He studies you silently, assessing every move you make. Does your expression show pain or happiness? Are you moving on? Are you more confident, more free? What are your changes telling him about his own heartbreak? This behavior is like watching a ghost. He's afraid of losing control if he looks directly at you, yet he cannot help looking. Like a moth irresistibly drawn to a flickering flame, his internal battle is fierce. Part of him wants to come closer, to reach out, to tell you how much he still hurts. But the other part tucks him away in silence, demanding of him, stay back, protect yourself. What does this mean for you? When you sense his gaze lingering in silence, or catch him studying you from afar, don't mistake that for apathy. It's the opposite. It's a heart still tethered, still aching, still unable to let go. Sign number 3. He acts like he's better than ever. But it's a mask. You see him posting smiling photos, motivational quotes like, being alone is the best way to find yourself, or stories of nights out with friends. Sometimes he seems to be living his best life, more active, energetic, and confident than before. At first glance, it looks like he's moved on, like he's completely over you. But then, when you look deeper, when you really feel the energy behind those posts, something feels off. It's almost like a scream hidden behind a smile. Why would someone who truly feels better need to broadcast it so loudly? The truth is, many men who suffer silently learn to disguise their pain in bravado. They hide their vulnerability behind exaggerated confidence, loudness, or superficial happiness. It's their armor against the chaos inside. Like a knight dressed in shining armor, they want the world to see strength. Even if their heart is shattered, he's trying to convince himself that he's okay, that he doesn't care anymore, that he's better without you. But deep inside, every proud post is a temporary shield, a silent message that echoes, "Look how well I'm doing, even if I don't feel it." This act of showing strength isn't about vanity or arrogance. It's about protecting himself from being seen as vulnerable. Because admitting pain makes a man feel exposed, weak, and unworthy, qualities our culture often dismisses or shames. So, when you see him desperately trying to look happy, confident, and unaffected, understand. Underneath that facade is a man still healing, still struggling with the ghost of what once was. Study these signs carefully. Because when you start noticing these subtle behaviors, in what he says, how he looks, the way he posts, you'll begin to understand that his silence is never truly complete. Beneath it lies a story of suffering he's afraid to speak aloud. And if this part resonates with you so far, remember, recognizing these signs isn't about blaming him or playing the victim. It's about understanding the unspoken pain that shapes his actions. Because in awareness comes compassion, and from compassion, genuine healing can begin. Sign number 4, he contradicts himself, overreacts, or gets angry without clear reason. Have you ever noticed a man who seemed to shift wildly from calm to irritability, sometimes for no apparent reason? One moment he's affectionate, the next he lashes out, then suddenly silent. This inconsistency is one of the deepest indicators of silent trauma. A man who has not yet processed his pain often experiences emotional turbulence. His internal world is like a stormy sea, calm at times, turbulent at others. When pain builds up but isn't properly expressed, it leaks out in unpredictable ways, sudden anger, overreactions, contradictions that seem to make no sense. Think of a dam holding back a flood. Eventually, cracks appear. He may block you one day, then unblock you the next, seemingly with no pattern. He may respond with sarcasm or coldness, then apologize later. These reactions aren't random. They come from a subconscious struggle to manage overwhelming feelings that he's terrified to face head-on. Why does he behave like this? Because unresolved pain, like a buried seed, sprouts unpredictably. His emotions, buried deep, yearn to be acknowledged. But instead of facing them directly, he's fighting an internal war. His mind tries to suppress, deny, or ignore the feelings, but the body and subconscious betray him. In the same way, a volcano doesn't erupt without warning. These emotional explosions are signals that he's still fighting a battle within. His contradictions, overreactions, and anger are his way of expressing what he cannot consciously admit, that he's still hurting, that the loss, the conflict, the unresolved pain still resides deep inside. How should you see this? When you witness his unpredictable reactions, don't mistake them for instability or manipulation. Recognize them as the evidence of a man suffering quietly but desperately trying to keep it all together, while the pressure inside grows. Sign. Number 5, he's posting content. Designed for you to see, social media has become the modern emotional battlefield. Sometimes, a man who refuses to speak openly about his feelings will start sharing images, quotes, or songs that seem directed at you, almost as if he's trying to communicate indirectly. He might have blocked you everywhere, yet suddenly he posts a song with lyrics that resonate with your story. Maybe a quote appears on his feed that reminds you of a shared experience, or an image of him smiling with a caption about moving forward. But it feels created with a purpose. Why does he do this? Because he still seeks your attention. He needs to feel seen, remembered, and validated, even if he refuses to acknowledge it openly. Posting content for you to see is like leaving breadcrumbs along a lonely path, signaling, "I still want you to notice me," even from afar. This silent message speaks volumes. This man's actions are a reflection of his inner desire to remain connected, to stay relevant in your thoughts. It's not conceit, it's a desperate cry for recognition from someone he still loves or hates, yet can't completely let go of. What's the key here? Don't fall into the trap of overanalyzing or reacting impulsively. Resist the temptation to ask, "Is this for me?" Instead, observe with compassion. Notice how he's desperately trying to keep the connection alive, even if it's in the form of cryptic signals. Sign number 6. He blocks and unblocks you, disappears and reappears. The digital dance of blocking and unblocking is often misunderstood. When a man silently suffers, he's caught in a web of confusing emotions, longing, fear, pride, and pain. Blocking you may be his way of asserting control, of creating emotional distance, of trying to build a wall to contain his suffering. But the silence behind this act is deafening. It's a way of saying, "I need space, but I still want to see if you care." When he unblocks you later, he's not necessarily changed his mind. He's living in ambivalence, torn between wanting to reconnect and the fear of getting hurt again. This push and pull dynamic is an internal tug of war. When he disappears, he's protecting himself. When he reappears, his subconscious might be craving reassurance, even if he refuses to say it aloud. What should you understand? The pattern of blocking and unblocking isn't about you. It's about his emotional disarray. If you stay grounded, remain compassionate, and resist impulsive reactions, you maintain the stability he subconsciously longs for. Your calm presence can act as a lighthouse guiding him back from the depths of his silent storm. Sign number 7. He doesn't reach out, but he won't let anyone else replace you. The hardest truth. When a man suffers in silence, he often finds himself unable to connect with anyone else. Not because he lacks options, but because no one matches the unique emotional imprint you left on him. He may have moved on superficially, dating, socializing, trying to distract himself. But deep down, a part of him remains tied to your energy, your essence. Every attempt to forge new connections feels hollow, empty, like a shadow cast in a room without light. He might avoid making contact, not because he no longer cares, but because he's still emotionally anchored in what you represent. He lives, in a paradox, committed to moving on, yet unable to replace you on a soul level. This silent struggle is fraught with frustration for him. Deep inside, he knows that no other person can fill the void that your absence has created. His inability to reconnect fully and his silent longing reflect a grief that's unprocessed, a wound that still leaks pain beneath his surface mask. What's the lesson here? Recognize that his silence and distance often come from an internal, a desire to reconnect that's masked by the pain of not knowing how. Your role isn't to chase or convince, but to understand that true healing begins when you respect his process and hold space for his silent suffering. These last 4 signs deepen our understanding. Silent pain isn't always loud, and it often manifests in contradictions, indirect messages, and subtle behaviors that many overlook. To decode him is to acknowledge that beneath every quiet moment, every act of avoidance, and every cryptic post, there's a heart still aching, a soul still longing for peace. And if you've gained even a glimpse of this wisdom, you're one step closer to transforming your relationship with him. Because understanding his silence is not about fixing him. It's about recognizing that pain often speaks in the quietest ways, and love, in its deepest form, is patient enough to listen. If this resonates with you, take a moment to reflect on his silence. Sometimes the most profound words are spoken in the quiet moments, moments you now have the power to understand. If these signs have helped you see beyond the surface, consider subscribing to this channel, turning on notifications, and sharing this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Because understanding silent suffering isn't just about him. It's about awakening your own empathy and inner wisdom. Stay tuned for the final part, where we'll bring everything together, ending with a sense of hope, empowerment, and the path forward.